Today we're answering your questions. How can we create reusable cells for our list view, collection view, carousel view, anything that has an item template inside of Xamarin.Forms and .NET MAUI? So tune in. Hey everyone, I'm James Montemagno, and I'm back with another Xamarin 101 and .NET MAUI 101. This time talking about reusable cells inside of list views, collection views, carousel views, anything with an item template. You can reuse your content views that you're creating, those data templates. Additionally, we're going to take a look at how to use a data template selector in case your list view or collection view are displaying different types of data. And maybe you have, in this case, we have our coffee app, but maybe we have coffee, maybe we have roasters, and maybe we have different grinds, and we want to display different cells based on information that's inside of our physical object. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the code. So as always, we have our coffee application right here, and it's built with Xamarin.Forms and .NET MAUI as well. The same UI here would apply to both. But we have our coffees of the world. We have different tabs on the top and bottom. We've been building this out in this entire series. So if you're interested in this, you can go ahead and take a look at it all of them here. We have databases, we have list views, collection views, calling REST backend services, all that good stuff. It's all really fantastic. So definitely take a look at the entire series. But as we can see, is like this coffee here is actually being displayed on a lot of different pages. So for example, here on each of these tabs, this cell is here. On this page with the collection view, it's here. On the My Coffee, it's also here. It's pretty much everywhere, right? So it's on all these different pages. So we want to reuse that cell. So let's take a look at the code. Now, specifically, I have the first two pages up. The one here is My Coffee. So here's the coffee equipment page. And if we scroll down, we see that we have a list view with all the different bindings on it. And then we have this data template selector over here. And then our data template, I should say. And that has a data type of coffee. And then down here, we'll see that there's some context actions. So I can long press on it or swipe to delete. And then here we have a grid. And this grid you'll see has a frame, stack layout, image, and some more labels inside of it. And that's specifically what we see right here. So this is this page right here. Now, if we go over to our collection view page, we can see that it's actually a different object type. It's a collection view. So we have a collection view, which has group data inside of it. But in this instance, we have things inside of a swipe view. But lo and behold, we have a grid, we have a frame, we have a stack layout. We have this same control with the same exact data bindings. And basically, it is our coffee card, if you will, that's being displayed anywhere inside of our application. So what we want to do is sort of refactor this code out into a reusable cell. Now we can reuse this cell anywhere we want in our application. Actually, we can put it just statically on a page or inside these different list views or collection views. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go over to our solution over here, and I've created a cells folder right here. So I'm just going to right click and say add new item. Now inside of the file new dialog, there are two things that you may want to use. Now, the one that we're going to use is a content view. This is a generic content view where you can create a reusable controller or component that you can put anywhere inside of your application in multiple places. Think of it like a Blazor, component basically, but it's a, Xamarin.Forms or .NET MAUI content view, and a content view can be used anywhere. You can pass it and do additional bindings on it and pass it parameters and all that good stuff. Now, there's also a view cell. Now, view cells are only used inside of a list view. So if you are only working with list views and you want to create reusable view cells, and you would do this here, but we're not going to do that because we're going to work with a content view, since we're going to put this coffee card inside both the collection view and the list view. So I'm going to name this coffee card and hit add. All right. So what we have here specifically is a content view, and the content view has content, sort of like a content page, but it's a view. If we go to the code behind, we can see down here that it's just a partial class. It's a content view, nothing special. So all we're going to do over here is actually just copy this code into our coffee card. Let's go ahead and just put it right in there, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and reformat that. That's with XAML styler. I'll put a link to that in the code below as well. So what have I done? So I basically just took out the stack layout that was there and shoved in my view. That was it. There's a grid, there's coffee here, all that good stuff. Now we can see there's little squiggles here. We can actually see that I can put in my models. So if I do a namespace here of XMLNS models, and I do coffee models, there it is. I can do X:(data type, and I can do models of coffee as well. And then it will get my compiled binding. So it knows that the image, the name, and the roaster are there too. So you can bring that same concept over, which is very nice. Now, one thing you may have noticed here actually is that I have this in a content view and there's a grid inside of it. So surprisingly now, actually this content view is redundant at this point. Because I have a grid inside of it. So there's actually going to be an additional layer here. So if we want to, we can actually just get rid of that. So instead of it being a content view, I'm just going to give it a grid as the name. I'll say padding of 10 over here. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete this here. I mean, it's just a view, right? It doesn't actually matter that it's a content view. Xamarin.Forms and .NET MAUI, they don't care. The biggest difference that we need is when I go into the code behind, we need to change this to a grid as well. So that way it knows exactly what it is. So even though I created a content view, that can be anything you want. All right, well, that's inside of my cells. Those could be views, that could be, controls, anything you want to call it. I'm just going to call it cells for now. So let's go back over to our page where I just deleted it out of. And what we're going to do is we're going to say cells, and we'll say coffee card. Now we'll see over here that the IntelliSense in Visual Studio is telling me to bring in my namespace. And let's go see what it brought in up here. So let's scroll over and bring it down. And it's brought in my cells. There we go. It's pretty cool. It brought that in right there. And that's pretty nice because not only did it minimize my amount of code that's here, I'm just reusing this. And the data bindings trickle down. I'm not doing anything special. Since it is a grid, it knows it's a grid. I could set the background color on this specific one or different bindings to the different items that are inside of the grid property. I mean, you can create custom bindings too, which I'll put links to the documentation to, but that's just really nice. So now that we have that, let's head back over to our other page where we have that exact same code, and let's just paste it in there. Like, look at that. That's pretty nice, right? So we can just get rid of that there. Add in the namespace, and we are good again. Let's go ahead and take a look up top. And again, it just brings in the namespace just like that. And it's just the namespace. That's it. So super duper simple. Now, the nice thing here is that those data bindings do trickle down automatically. We brought in specifically the X data type. So that is our specific compiled binding. So that's also super nice too. So that'll be optimized when we go. And it's using all my normal, static resources that I have on the frame and everything like that. So let's go ahead here and see it. Oh, it's already running. Perfect. So now our application is exactly the same. There's no difference at all, but I've cut down and minimized the code there. And this is being used on all of these different pages. So what's nice here is that if I was to change the background color to red for some reason, this would trickle on every single one of the different pages over here as well. I think that might have to reset it on this one specifically. Let's go ahead and refresh this here and just see if it propagates through for the change. But to prove that it's a reusable cell, we'll be able to see that it should be red on these and then not red on other areas. So there's red over there. If we go back over here to the coffee view, there we go. Perfect. And of course I can remove that and it will go away back to our normal colors. So that's how we're creating reusable cells. And that's super duper nice. And I use it all the time when I was building the Xamarin Evolve application. You'd have like a speaker card, you'd have a session card, and you'd be displaying that information in multiple places all over the place. Now, let's say though, that on one of your pages, you not only want to have one type of specific cell, you want to have multiple types of cells inside of your list view or collection view. Well, that's where a Data Template Selector comes in. Remember that pretty much anywhere, almost in Xamarin.Forms and NET MAUI, there's data templates, carousel view, collection view, the bindable templates that you can have. They all have item templates, and those have a data template, and a data template kind of has the data binding to a specific view, and in this case, a grid, which is pretty cool. Now, since we have our one data template set up, or one view cell set up, we can set up another content view that will enable us to switch between them with a data template selector. So this is actually pretty cool. So for example, let's say inside of our code here on our page, we want to change it where the yes please coffee is completely different looking from blue bottle coffee or something else. We want to have something special inside of here. We can do that. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to come into our cells, and I'm going to add a new class. All right. And what I'm going to do down over here is I'm going to call this my coffee data template selector. So just a normal class. And we'll change this to a public class. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say data template selector. Oops. Data template selector. There we go. And we'll go ahead and bring that in, which will be inside of Xamarin.Forms. Now, this specifically will have an implementation of onSelectTemplate. So as it's going through the list or the collection view or something else, what's going to happen is it is going to enable us, based on the object, determine what data template we want to return. Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say public data template, and I'll say normal here. And I'll say get set. And then I'm going to do public data template not normal. I don't know what I'm going to call it. We'll say not normal. Get set. Maybe it should be special. There we go. Let's change it to special down here. There we go. And that's what we're going to do. So those are our two data templates that we have. So here's what we can do is we can say var coffee, and we're going to bind these to the coffee that's coming in. We'll say cast. There we go. Visual Studio just solving it for me. That's amazing. We'll bring that in. And then what we'll do is we'll say return. We'll say coffee dot roaster equals yes, please. Then let's return the special, else the normal. All right. So that's all we're going to do in here. So you can basically decide, what it is. And of course here, I know that I'm only getting coffee, but let's say you had a list of objects. You could say, if it's a dog, return the dog cell. If it's a cat, return the cat cell. If it's pizza, return the pizza cell. So you can do that. All right. So that's pretty cool. All right. So what I've also done now that we have our coffee card is I've also created another view over here, which is just a special cell. And all this is a label that says hello Xamarin.Forms. Maybe we'll say hello special coffee here. Right, so nothing special, just a cell that we created. There's literally nothing here. So no data bindings, anything like that. It's just, that's all it is. So now what we're going to do with our new data template selector is use that inside of our coffee page. So here, let me go ahead and open that up again over here. All right, now inside of our coffee page, we're going to want to go ahead and create a data template selector in our code. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to create a data template. There we go. And the first data template we're going to create specifically is our normal. So I'm going to say normal over here. And then another one we're going to create, another data template, is going to be x:\key. And this will be our special down here. There we go. Now what we're able to do is we're able to put in our card or our special cell. Now this is going to vary. So for example, here our list view that we have needs a view cell, and it has this special context syntax in here. So what we're actually going to want to do is go ahead and remove this from this item template, and we're going to put that into our normal. All right, that's there. And we're going to also put this down into, well, actually, let's go ahead and just say this one doesn't have a swipe to delete or anything like that on it. And this is just going to be our special cell. Okay. Now, if I was putting this into a collection view, it wouldn't have the view cell because collection views don't have view cells. It's sort of legacy from ListView days. But there is our normal and there is our special. All right. Now what we need to do is we need to create a data template selector that we've created earlier and set the values. So we're going to do that now inside of our resource dictionary. And of course, you can do this in your XAML. You can do it in a bunch of places. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say cells coffee data template selector. And what we can set is a key, and we'll say coffee selector. There we go. And then what we'll want to set over here is both the normal, which here will be a static resource to our normal. So this normal property here specifically is this normal property. And then this static resource of normal is this data template here. I want to do the same thing over here for our special. We'll do static resource of special. There we go. Perfect. Now, all we need to do at this point is come up here, and instead of bringing and doing an item template, what we're going to do is just delete this out of here and set it on our main list view. So all we're going to do now is simply come in and say item template. We're going to say static resource to our coffee selector. So again, our coffee selector up here is our data templates that are inside of the data template selector. So it is really that data template selector that we made earlier. And that is basically going to tell it to use normal or not normal. So let's go see and put a breakpoint down over here. See if we can hit that really quick as this boots up. And here we go. So we can see coffee, roaster, blue bottle. And then over here, that should return the normal, else the special. So let's go ahead and go through it. And boots up, and here we go, check it out. So we have the grouped here, so we have blue bottle, we have yes please. This is a silly example of exactly how it would work. You can see that we have our long presses and our non-long presses over here for our specific coffees, but we're now using data template selectors to decide what gets displayed inside of this list view. And we're still using our reusable cells and views that we created earlier. So let's recap it really quick. We created a content view, which happens to be our coffee card that is now reusable in our entire application. We then created a data template selector over here that implements a single override method, which is our onSelected template that allows us to return a data template based on what our item is. In this case, we know it's always coffee, but it could be anything. Then over inside of our page, we created two data templates, one that was our standard view cell, we just copied and pasted it up, and another one that was a separate cell that just said hello and welcome to the special coffee. And then we brought in our data template selector and set our item template right here. You can do the same thing on anything that has an item template like collection views, list views, carousel views, and all that good stuff. Well, there you have it. I hope that this has been a nice informational video showing you how to reuse those cells in all of your different list views and collection views, or just anywhere inside your application. Let the data bindings trickle down, and of course, then select different templates with those reusable cells with data template selectors. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get updates on all the videos I put here on my channel. I'm super excited for even more Xamarin.Forms 101 and .NET MAUI 101 videos coming to the channel. Leave your recommendations below in the comments or any questions you may have, and I'll try to answer them. So until next time, thanks for watching.